Hello there, YouTube. I'm Cody the Coin Raptor, and I want to talk to you today about why December is so incredibly important for Bitcoin and the crypto market. So I posted this on Twitter here, important dates for December. You have the non-farm payrolls report's going to be due on December the 2nd. The PPI, the Producer Price Index, is going to be due on the 9th. The CPI, the Consumer Price Index, is going to be on the 13th, and the FOMC, or the Federal Open Market Committee, meeting is going to be on the 13th and the 14th. And the reason why this is so important is because you have the PPI and the CPI readings are going to be happening before this FOMC. All right. So if either one of those turns out to be showing that inflation is decreasing, we could have the Fed actually kind of making more of a little bit more of a pivot and at least slow the rate of rate hikes. And the reason why that's important is because I've mentioned multiple times on this channel that Bitcoin right now has been under severe pressure by the Fed, increasing rates over and over and over again. I've made multiple videos about that. But I've also said that there's no way that we can confirm a Bitcoin bottom until the Fed stops raising rates and instead decides to pivot. All right, and hopefully start lowering rates. When they start lowering rates, I can be very confident in the fact that Bitcoin has made a bottom for the bear market, okay? So one thing you guys may have noticed is that Bitcoin lately has been trading in a little bit of a range. It's been kind of range bound here at about from about 17,000 to about 16,000, kind of in that range or so. And I'm gonna go ahead and put up our trend lines here. So let's say around here and around here. So that's kind of where Bitcoin has been. It's been stuck in this trading range for a little while. And so we have seen there's not really much demand going on right now for Bitcoin. We've seen, as you can see here, the volume has been steadily decreasing. There just hasn't been a lot of people that have wanted to buy the dip. This time, I think everyone's expecting Bitcoin to go lower, and so nobody wants to try to catch this falling knife. That's my interpretation of what's going on here in the volume and on the charts. However, there is going to be a very important event that goes on in December that may wind up changing everything. So in addition to these very important dates that we have for December, we go over here to Deribit and we go ahead and take a look at the options for Bitcoin, and we can see here that there is a pretty massive number of options that are that will expire on December 30th. You have this massive amount, about 1.3 billion dollars of Bitcoin options and calls, and then you also have about 700 million in puts that are going to be due on the 30th of December, right before the beginning of the new year. And so what we could wind up seeing is these calls exercised before then in the next, say, month or so. If they exercise these options, either the calls or the puts, we could see massive volatility with the Bitcoin price. We could see a massive spike to the upside or a massive spike to the downside. So this sideways action that's happening right now, I don't expect it to continue for very much longer. I think that if this continues past a month, I'd be very surprised, especially given the fact that all those options contracts are going to be due. And so the people that have those options contracts are going to wind up exercising them in one way or another. If we take a look at the Bitcoin funding rate, we can see here that the bulls so far have taken control of Bitcoin, and the positive funding rate here indicates that the longs are currently dominant. All right, so that's one thing to go ahead and keep in mind here. Now, that being said, I've said multiple times that if the price keeps going down while these longs are dominant, they could potentially get trapped, just like we've seen in many different times. Here is a great example. The longs were in the majority, and then all of a sudden it switches, and then all these longs have to capitulate, and we see a huge number of shorts pop up and take over dominance. In fact, if we take a look at liquidations for Bitcoin, we can see that the longs have just been completely destroyed the last month or so. There's multiple days of massive long liquidations. And in fact, we take a look at yesterday, we can see here that yesterday had over $27 million of Bitcoin longs annihilated. And so like I'm saying, Nobody wants to step in right now. Everyone is just waiting to see what plays out with Bitcoin, and especially with the Fed meeting coming up here and the CPI and the PPI, we could wind up seeing a massive move to the upside or a massive move to the downside, especially depending upon what is said during that Fed meeting, okay? So I want to get you guys prepared, because this month we could potentially see a massive move, okay? That's what I am preparing for personally. I am preparing for a massive move to the upside, to the downside. I'm still sticking with my DCA plan, but I am prepared with some excess cash to buy the dip in case if we have another huge purge of the Bitcoin price. And from the way things look right now, it's still, the charts right now in the medium term are still bearish for Bitcoin. Now, if you look at Ethereum, Ethereum has actually been holding up a little bit better. The pattern's very similar. However, you can see here with Bitcoin, there has been 5 days of nonstop selling going on here. Ethereum, not nearly as many. We've only had a couple of really bad selling days for Ethereum. So it's going to be interesting to see how well it's going to hold up compared to Bitcoin, because so far, if Bitcoin makes big moves, Ethereum always makes even larger moves, generally speaking. That being said, we take a look at the RSI. It's at 40 right now. We can actually go down here and draw a resistance point at the RSI right now at about 44 or so. It does not like crossing this line. This seems to be strong resistance. I move it down here to about 43 or so in this range. So definitely keep an eye on that. If it moves above this level, that's bullish. However, it looks for now like it's having a really hard time trying to get above this level. And so we expect it's going to actually wind up moving lower. We take a look at our BNB or Binance coin. Binance coin loves to stick in this range right in the middle I've drawn here at about 293, 297, and about 300 or so in that range. It's actually dropped below this part, so now this is no longer support. Now this is resistance, and I expect that it's going to be moving down even further, because we can actually see that there is a pretty strong downward slope here for Binance coin. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. All right, so that's all I've got for you guys today. If you like this content, let me know, like, subscribe, and go ahead and follow me on Twitter for the most up-to-date information. This is Cody the Coin Raptor, and I hope to see you in the next video.